It's January 18th and it's time for an update on how the onions are doing, and also to take a look in on those pepper seeds I started are doing and if they're starting to germinate or not yet. So let's start with the onions. So the Alyssa Craig, which are the giant onions, are doing pretty well. In fact, the tallest ones are right up there about to touch the bottom of my grow light. And those stakes are 2 feet tall minus what's pushed into the pot. So that gives you an idea of what the overall height is on these plants. Looking pretty good. There are quite a bit more out in the greenhouse, and we'll get to those here in a little bit. Then in this pot, we have some yellow Spanish onions, the ones on the right. And then on the left are some green onions or bunching onions. Those yellow Spanish onions were the first seeds I started of that variety, and didn't really have the greatest germination. Not too bad, but they're all right. And then over here in this, I have 2 other types of yellow onion that I've never tried before: Australian brown and yellow of Parma. Yellow of Parma is a long day onion. The Australian brown is an intermediate day, but has been rumored that it does okay in long day situations as well. And I figured I'd give them each a little try this year and see how they work out. Part of my reason for that is I wasn't really happy with the storage time on the yellow Spanish onions last year, so I'm going to try a few other varieties to see if they do better. And in the back here, there's that tray of red onions. Those are an Italian kind of longish, elongated red onion. And of course, the one on the left was the ones that did not germinate at all. And then up front here, my second starts of yellow Spanish onions, and they're doing okay too. So between the 2 pots of these I have, I should have enough to get me what I want for this season. So here in the greenhouse are some of the Alyssa Craigs that I have that are doing basically equally as well as the ones that are in the house in the warmth under grow lights. Of course, the last few days here it's been 50 during the day, bright sunshine, and when that hits this greenhouse, it gets above 85 degrees in here, and that turns my exhaust fan on so that it doesn't get hotter than that. And these are some lettuce plants that I brought out a week or so ago. They don't mind the cold weather at all. And here is some more of the Alyssa Craigs. These are probably the smallest batch. These were the last ones to get potted up because they were smaller ones. Some more lettuce plants that were moved out here probably 3 weeks ago. And I have just brought my pots with the strawberry plants in them into the greenhouse so they can start warming up, and I will hopefully get an early crop of strawberries out of what's here. Interestingly, all of these other plants are last year's pepper plants, which seem to be hanging in there. Maybe not looking the greatest in the world, but part of that is from the fact that I do have a small heater in here, and I'm trying to keep the temperature above 45 degrees. I'm not sure if on a really cold day that it would be able to get that kind of temperature. May not be able to keep up, but so far we've had a relatively mild winter with only a few frosty mornings, and they, to me, have survived. If they don't start to look like they're going to bud out new leaves as the season starts to get warmer, then these plants will all go away and make room for new plants. But I think it's an interesting experiment, at least at this point. And a couple other things I have going on here. These are some Merlot lettuce, and they're just about ready to go out to the greenhouse. From here, they'll just grow in the temperatures in the greenhouse, and I'll have more room in the house for new seed starting. And then I have some herbs back there, thyme and basil. Then on this side, I have a couple of tomato starts, and these are micros, and they are a very small orange tomato called Orange Hat. I grew these last year. They produced pretty good, and I'm starting these now in hopes that if I just keep them indoors the whole time, I'll have some tomatoes very early in the season. They're just a cherry-sized tomato, which will be great for salads. And so if you watched my previous video, I put some pepper seeds into cups with wet paper towels. And now we're going to take a look and see what they've done. It's been about 8 or 9 days. I had this foil over the top of the cups just to reduce the light. I really didn't need to be under bright light while they're germinating. My heater kept these right around 86 degrees. And peel my foil off, and if you look in here, got a nice germination. Now that one is ready to go right into some potting mix, so I'm going to break out my root trainers, fill them up with soil, and just make a little pencil hole in it and slide that root very carefully down into the hole. And nothing happening on that one, and it's just starting to send down its root on that one, which is good because 2 will be plenty of these for my early starts. And then this is the jalapeno, and so far looks like there's only one that has started, and that's not really a concern at this point because they tend to be fairly slow to germinate, and different varieties take longer than others, and those will just get to continue to sit. And then this is the Hungarians, which are saved seeds, and so far nothing showing. I'm kind of tempted to start another cup with some seeds that I have that are from the year before as a backup in case these saved seeds are no good. And then the last one is the Etuda, which is orange bell pepper. And it looks like there might be something just starting to come off the top of that one. And there's one sending down its root right now. It's just about ready to go into some potting mix, as well as that one. And the other good thing about this is, since you may have some variability on your germination with pepper seeds, you know exactly that you have a good germinated seed, and you just put it into your seed root trainer or whatever type of pot you're going to use, and you'll know you'll have a good plant in each of your pots, and you won't waste any space on non-germinated seeds. So I'm going to pot up those couple of pepper seeds that we saw that have started to germinate in the plastic cups, and I'm going to show you what I do. So I have my root trainer insert, and actually the base to these holds 5 of these, so you can put 20 plants in each pot. Right now I'm just going to fill this one since we only have a few seeds. And so I have my seed mix and my toad over here on the side. I'm just going to fill these up. I do like to tamp them down a little bit, not super tight, but just ensure there's no air pockets. And then I can add a little more to top them off. This potting mix is Fox Farms Coco Loco, and I add wool pellets that I rehydrate and then put in a small blender and blend it up a bit with this potting mix to get it evenly distributed. And I've done this this is my 3rd year, and I've had really nice starts using that combination of potting mix and wool pellets. So now, those are the way I need them to be. Now I'm going to take a pencil and poke a hole in a couple of those. Get ready for the first 2. Widen it out at the top just a little bit, make it easier for me to get that root started down the hole. And as I showed in the other video, you can see the 2 seeds in this that have germinated. So we're going to move those into the potting mix. I'm going to get some tweezers handy. I'm not sure that I'll actually use them, but I probably will, because these are far enough along that I think they're sturdy enough to handle it. Let's see if I can do this so that I can see it on the camera and I can see what I'm doing at the same time. I'm going to try and grab it down close to the seed, because you can see the seed wants to sort of stick to it, to the paper towel. And then you just want to be gentle, especially with these tweezers. They can be a little sharp, and actually it's coming fairly easily. I think I'm just going to grab it with my fingers. And amazingly, these are pretty robust at this stage, and even if you lose a little piece of the tip of that root, they won't mind, because that root is very energetic and looking for room to grow. Now this one, because there's really no leaf, the cotyledon really isn't showing itself, I'm just going to put the whole thing so that the head is just a little bit below the surface of the potting mix. This one I suspect will come out a little easier too, because the root is much smaller. There it is. And that one, I'm pretty sure I got the whole root. Doesn't look a little blunted at the end. Slide that in the hole, push it down just a little below the surface, and cover it up. And really, that's all it is. And I'm We'll water this in a little bit. This potting mix was already kind of moist. Once I put this in a tray, I'll water them again from below, so make sure that they're really nice and moist. Now I'll go ahead and do that with the other seeds, which were the Etuda, but that's the process. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. It really helps spread my videos around on YouTube, and that would be appreciated. Thanks again.